Good to go.
So just available.
Available.
Any minutes limit that she'll be on?
I'm not going to run her into the ground.
She could start.
TBD.
How's Kira feeling? Is she still sick?
No, she's been in the building the last couple days, working out. Definitely doing better.
Any idea if she'll travel or what her prospects are?
I believe she'll travel. As far as the timeline for games, I'm not sure yet.
I think that's everything.
All the checks. Okay.
On the Vegas side, Asia's obviously been putting up
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous numbers to start this season. What do you think is the difference between already like MVP level Asia and this version of Asia, and kind of how do you approach that?
I mean, she just gets better. She gets better every year. She's won a couple MVPs. Even when she won it, she got better. And so I think, not speaking for her, she's playing like she got a point to prove. She didn't win the MVP last year, but they did win the championship, which I'm sure she would prefer. No, she just keeps getting better. It's clearly somebody who's had a plan to work on their game. She's making jumpers. She's finishing at the rim. She's getting fouled. She's defending. She's showing leadership. I mean, watching their game against Chicago the other night, she's chasing down loose balls and saving them from going out of bounds. She sets the tone for their whole organization.
Just one more for me on your side. When you originally plugged Aaliyah into the starting lineup for Kira, you talked about how like Aaliyah and Steph fit really well together just naturally. And I'm curious, like, how you've seen with Aaliyah out, like the Maisha Steph pairing, like what that gives you, what you've liked from that.
I think it's been pretty good. I mean, I think actually, to be honest, all of our front court combinations have figured out how to play together well. We've seen Emily Maisha, Emily Steph, Didi at 4, but I think it just it requires a little bit of an understanding. Like, when Maisha plays with Kira or Aaliyah, she's more of a spacer. Steph's kind of always a spacer, but even Steph and Maisha taking the challenge to, hey, I've got to roll sometimes. Sometimes I got to rim run and let the other one trail in space. So just getting those reps together helps a lot.
What specifically about this matchup or some things that you're keen on first time?
Got to get back and defend in transition. I mean, I think their pace is really good, and they've got elite scorers obviously at several positions. So you got to get the ball picked up. You got to know that they're going to try to hit ahead over the top, and their guards. If you play soft in transition, they're going to walk into threes. So just making sure we get the ball stopped early, we get loaded up. You worry about their shooting, but if you worry about it so much that you never help anybody, you're going to give up layups down the lane, and then you're going to help, and then you're going to give up threes. So you got to trust your principles and that you can help each other and cover for each other and be active and fly around.
Just on Jakia, I know you said you want to bring in a perimeter player on the partnership. What about her and bringing that in case you guys decide?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was she probably had or showed about the most improvement from the start to the end of our training camp of any player we had here. And I think that's just a great sign of somebody who's willing to work, willing to be coachable. Was a great teammate when she was here. And I thought just understood as we went through camp how she could help us on both ends of the floor. She's she knows when to cut, she knows when to space. She knows how to make a play without trying to do too much. And then, defensively just knows our concepts, knows what we're trying to do. I felt like she had earned a shot. We couldn't keep her at the time, but especially when you get one day of a walkthrough and then you're in a game, it helps to have somebody that at least has a little familiarity with her teammates and what we're trying to do.
That one walkthrough, what's maybe the one or two things that you're trying to help her get up to speed with or help with concepts or whatever it may be?
Just a refresher on all of our coverages, trying to have her learn the playbook. We had some of our stuff in during camp, but not all of it. So crash course, a little cramming for the test, and just bring energy and be an extra body for sure.
Just curious to ask, you guys have dealt with so many this how well do you think that this team has been able to battle through the adversity of having to deal with those injuries? I know things are chaotic, I'm sure, but this team seems that, especially in recent games, seems to be in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, we have a little bit too much experience with it for my liking, but it does help. And you got kind of two choices: to sit around and feel bad for yourselves and have that drop your own energy and ability, or you can just seize an opportunity, especially people who haven't played a lot. They get a chance now. You just got to show you're going to act the right way and do the right things and compete, or you're not. So I don't actually think it's that. When you add it to the fact that we're losing games, it can be frustrating, but we don't have a group that's just going to roll over and cry and feel bad for themselves. So I can't. Yeah.
Over this last 6-7 game stretch that you guys been rack up some wins, have you sensed any major differences with this team? I know I just asked Julie about. She said everyone, it's still even keel, still the same sort of mentality that you guys had at the start of the year. But have you sensed any sort of differences maybe from the first couple games of the season to now?
We're playing better offensively, I think, is the most obvious one. We're making shots that we weren't making at the start of the year, but I think also we have a little bit better understanding of what we're trying to do within each of our offensive sets or concepts. We're finishing a little bit better around the rim. We're shooting it better from the perimeter. I think we were always unselfish and moving the ball well, but I think maybe now that we've seen some rewards for it, it just helps your confidence.
Biggest first in league in pace. How do you make sure that you guys offensively don't kind of play into that speed when the other team is getting shots up in 10, 12 seconds into the shot clock?
I think when we have chances to run, we need to run. That's one of the ways you can get good shots. I think that's true probably for every team. I think what we can't do is turn it over early in the clock, come down and take bad shots, or be disorganized and give them chances to run off our bad possessions. If we're coming down early in the clock and we get good looks, I'm fine with that. If we can get in the paint and get to the rim or get kickouts for good looks, that's a whole lot different than coming down and being sloppy with the ball and giving them chances to run out, because those runs can snowball on you.
And then they ran a lot of 2-3 in their last game against Chicago. Is that something that you guys expect to see tonight, or do you feel like because you guys have bigs who can kind of space, they wouldn't run it against you guys?
I mean, we're definitely prepared for it, and we expect to see it. It's not something new that they've done, so we've seen it from them before. But you never know. Sometimes when a team, they probably know that we've watched their game, so maybe they don't play it all. Maybe they play it the whole first quarter like they've done in the past. So, yeah, we're ready for it when it comes.
I want to follow up on this note about being able to play better in the last 6-7 games or so. I remember during the streak we were talking a little bit about needing to play well for all four teams, and just sort of think about like how that could work out in practice. Like, what has been the key for you guys to make sure that you're playing well, not just for first 2 quarters, not for third quarter, but like all 4?
I think it's every team's goal. I think every coach probably worries about that and obsesses over it. Ours was just a little more glaring maybe when it went off the tracks. We try a bunch of different things. We watched some segments of games when we were playing well versus when it went sideways. We talked about what we can do to execute better in those situations. We are continuing to talk about not fouling so much. But some of it's on me too. I learn a little bit better what I can call for our players in those situations to maybe get a better possession. We have a few more go-tos now that we know we can get ourselves organized and get a decent look. So some of it's just team playing together more. We had a lot of new faces in the first 6 or 7 games. It was a little bit of a learning curve, and it continues to be. So it's never any one thing. If it was, we'd fix it a lot quicker.
You talked about Leash and Steph, like learning which role more. And Steph's talked a little bit about like over the course of the season, she feels like she's kind of mixed in more roles as well.
Mixing a role is my favorite phrase.
Like, what does that look like from your perspective? Like, what kind of reads maybe is she making now that she wasn't making early this season? Kind of how she balanced that.
Maybe just within each of our sets of, depending on what the spacing is like behind her, some plays are easier to pop and some plays work better if we get a roll. And I also just think, as teams, we've seen more switching on her. Some teams, what we call like peel switching, like leave the guard and go back to her. And if you pop every time, it gets predictable and it gets, easier for that defense to know where you're going to be. If you mix it up and sometimes you roll and sometimes you pop and sometimes you're in the middle, it gets a little bit more difficult for the defense.
Any other questions? That's it, Coach. Thank you.
Thanks.